I'd like to move on to Frank Steinheimer, who will speak about the role of artistic film as an index to research collections, or rather, I would say, about a very specific example of such a collaboration between a science collection and the medium of film in the hands of a curator and of an artist.
So, thank you very much for the introduction. Accessing masses, an art film as index to research collection. First, I would like to show you why we have these masses of collections. These are 46 academic collections which we hold at the Martin Luther University at Halle. And we have to say not all of these collection spaces were adequate. So we moved, and these are the red dots, and we're still moving, the natural science collection at one place. And I'm the head of this place, so it means I'm head of a lot of specimens. In total, we have 5.3 million natural science specimens. And we have about 20,000 visitors per annum, but these visitors are all on guided tours, so there's no public exhibition room. And also you can see that some of our sort of teaching cabinets are in the 19th century style, and we try to keep this more or less untouched. We have currently several research and art grants running. We have postdoc positions there and 2 big projects in domestic pigs and Eocene fossils, just to give you a scope of the collection. And we do a lot of biodiversity research, more or less as contract work for red data books. And we, as a university, have also to do some teaching that is 34 hours per week and semester. Our worldwide web of connections, and these are all towns where we had either a loan tour, or we have a guest scientist visiting us, or we have a cooperation which ended in a joint publication. You see, it's quite a broad net worldwide. But we also have quite good experience in art and science transfer projects. And this one here, it's called, or was called, the Blue Cave, and that were 3D models from the geological underground of several places in Germany. These models are very accurate, and they help teaching, and they even help the scientists to understand their data that they have normally in a computer. So they are scratched here in big glass cubes. But also the show, because these cubes were so artificial and so special, we tried also to set them up in a very artificial way, and we lighted them blue. We recently, or quite recently, had also a very classic exhibition with specimens and reconstructions of our Eocene fossils. It was called Gaining Grounds, and it was shown in the Leopoldina in the National Academy of Sciences of Germany. But also there we had some sort small of art gimmicks, like mini dioramas for the children's, actually on knee level, so they had to knee down to see these. And also we had some digital projections of the silhouettes of the specimens, which were common in Eocene Germany 45 million years ago, and the kids and also the adults could see how they would relate in the shadow proportion to these animals. A more artistic exhibition together with Felix Sattler from the Tieranatomische Theater and Michael Fehr from the University of Art here in Berlin, we did on the subject of our animals. And this exhibition tried to explain the relationship between animals and humans in 17 different positions, and that started at very scientific positions, how we use animals for science, but also how we domesticated animals for our uses, up to then, for example, in the middle, animals as trademarks and how they change over the years and regions. And on the right, you can see the only existing Flea Circus in Germany, which was then guest at one of the performances. This exhibition also showed how the humans the human view on what an animal would like to have. These are the cages from the 1960s from the Berlin Zoo, and you see the cages were made for the humans, for the human eye, and not for the big cats living in that. For that, it was probably horrible, and it led to the extinction by humans with the passenger pigeon. A real art project we did with Cicadas that was mainly supported by the German Cultural Foundation. And we were able to choose one of the top artists, sound artists of the world, Edgardo Rudnitsky from Argentina, and he designed for us this, on the left side, these little cicadas, artificial instruments, doing exactly the same, or using exactly the same mechanics to produce the cicada sound. So it was a clicking plate, as the cicadas do in nature. The sound was identical to the cicada sound in the wild, but we could steer this sound by a computer program. And why we used that, it was always my wish to show evolutionary processes. And I have chosen here in this project a process which I would call niche partitioning of the song types of cicadas. So one cicada species could sing whatever it would like to sing because it's the only species. But if you have more species than one, they have to find themselves with different song types, so the communication still works. So this project started with a very simple song type, zzz, zzz, and then it developed over the hours and days to many different song types, which were then very complicated, and there still was a communication between these artificial cicadas. We had also one frame with real cicadas that the people would know what we're speaking about. Today, I want to speak about access masses, and we have there also several different ways via touchscreen in the collection, via the World Wide Web. With short films, that is what I showed today, and this film only works if it's shown on festivals. With databases, photo books, and documentaries. Finally, it also opens a new source of funding, which I didn't know before we started with that, so we can receive money from the German Film Foundation. We have used the Dutch Film Foundation or the Film Society Werkleitz. First, we did a documentary, about 35 minutes, how a specimen comes into the collection. Quite interesting to follow the specimen from the living animal to the dead one then in the galleries. The current project is for our Photoplate Collection. And you can see here fantastic glass plates, they're about 100 years old. All our animals which we ever had, they were all research objects. They were living animals. We had, at one place and day, we had about 1,000 living animals in our gardens at the University of Halle. And they were individually known, so we know that Marushka was born on the 8th of February 1936, or up above, Dagmar was born in 1935, and so on. We know the parents, we know the kids of them, so it's a very well-documented photo collection. Altogether, this comprised 20,000 photoglass plates of livestock sciences and geography. 6,044 plates are listed as important national heritage of Germany, because they were sort of from the Institute of Julius Kühn. Julius Kühn was the first person to establish an agricultural university studies in Germany. So we asked a filmmaker to access this collection. Actually, we didn't ask him. He came around and was so fascinated by our natural science collection, asked what could he do. And then we gave him 10,000 digital images of the photos and say, just go home and see what you can do with that. And he came up then with this film, which is here the advertisement for our first launch of this film in the Kunst Stiftung, so Art Foundation of Sachsen-Anhalt, the county where Halle is based. The filmmaker, his name is Pim Zwier. He's a Dutch filmmaker. He obtained his Master of Art at the Piet Zwart Institute in Rotterdam in 2003. He makes documentaries, short films, and video installations. These installations and video films are showed on festivals around the world, in exhibitions and on television. He's also a member of the Dutch Film Bank. It's a distributor of experimental film. He curates various film programs and is jury member of several international film festivals. So it's a good person to have on board. This short film he did is about was shown on more than 20 countries and in about 40 or 50 film festivals, and won several prizes. Why this film? Well, we have these 10,000 images of the Livestock Sciences. This film shows in 8 minutes about 100 images. Not a lot, but well chosen. So if you have seen this film, you know exactly what our collection is about. That was the aim. And this is very nicely fulfilled. But what you don't understand in the film is what all these experiences are about, which were shown in the film or on the photo glass plates. So this is why we added 14 sub-films, which inform you on special sort of research projects. We asked Simon Kirsch, he's a freelance web designer and Burg Giebichenstein master student. You know, we're very lucky in Halle that we have not only the Cultural Foundation of Germany in Halle and the National Academy of Sciences, but also a very vigorous art university, which helps us to establish such projects. And he did the web design then in the end, and our original, the glass plates, are now in a fully climatized special magazine, and we don't touch them anymore, except that the make of the photo glass plates itself is the issue of the research. Otherwise, we work with the digital images. And I try to show you this now. So we will watch this film for 4 minutes. Yeah, and then we will see 1 or 2 sub-films. And you see now there would be an option to go one of these sidelines to understand who's Hofmeister Müller. Yeah, so you would follow him from his first working day and then 30 years later to his last working day. And that is the institute as it was in the middle of the town center of Halle. So this collection was very well received already by the livestock scientists, who would publish books on certain races of animals or breeding lines. So for them, we wouldn't need to have the short film, but we thought this material has another dimension for cultural sciences, for sciences on the history of photography, for how the history of science, for example, how the university staff had which hierarchy they had, what dresses they wear, and so on. So this were actually the kids of one of the professors. So this is why we thought a film would access this much better. And I think we take now the next loop out there. They used already stereo photography because then you could see the quality of the fur much better. Now I have, oh no, quick enough, huh? No, managed, just in time. This is one of the sidelines where you get now an information on what you have seen. That was these 2 piglets, and now we follow these piglets into the collection more or less, yeah, or find them in the collection again. I speed this a little bit up. We go to the middle. Now, starts moving.
Here we have a starvation fattening experiment. It is a very special research which was once conducted at the domestic animal garden. Both pigs are full siblings, which means that both piglets derive from the same litter, by the same mother and have the same father. Thus, both have the same genetic preconditions. The researchers took one part of the litter and fed these piglets extremely well. The expert calls this ad libitum, and the other part was fed very restrictively, meaning next to nothing, so that they barely survived. Towards the end of the experiment, the piglets, which were then 6 months old, were slaughtered and investigated further. One can easily see the differences in size between the fattened animal, very fat, and tall, with large-sized bones, and the starving animal, quite small in size, and with a weak physical fitness and correlatively frail. So it could not grow to its full size.
Well, you got the point here that these little films then explain what you saw here on these photo short film. I have to speed this now up. As I said, you can watch the entire film at home. But what we did then is also, then the end, you can access the entire photo collection here with this film. So more or less all the plates you have seen in the film and all others, and there's the loading, are then online. And all these photo glass plates then have individual information, so you could see more or less what you have on the plates with the information of the species or specimen shown, and you see their masses. Yeah, and I think without the film, nobody would understand what he has to look. Or one has to look in these photo glass plates, but with the film you get an idea what you could find, and then you can search for that much more easily, and then use this fantastic collection, which starts actually also with photos in Uzbekistan, where we got some sheep from, and it ends up in Namibia, where we then disposed of some of these sheep. So it's a very broad sort of scientific collection. Yeah, thank you very much for your attention.